Hey everyone, my name is Abigail B. Welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, where have you been? I talk about home designing and lifestyle on my platform, and I really show you and tell you how you can really elevate your home to meet its full potential whilst doing it on a budget. Now, today we're in the living room because at first of this video, I want to show you something because it's show and tell right now. So I'm going to be twisting the plot a little bit, and we're going to be talking about how to break the rules in interior design in order to really elevate your spaces. Now, these are known themes and key concepts that we've been told over time, but I want you to break these. I want you to break the bonds. I want you to go outside of these boundaries and really test this. And I'm telling you, doing some of these things will really bring an elevation to your home and bring so much style. And I'm doing it as well. So I just wanted to show you that. Now, the first rule I want you to break is you keep hearing this concept about, try and stick to your one interior design style. And I get why they said that, because if you're new and you don't really understand, trying out different design styles that may not even correlate or even match very well together, a bit like water and oil, you're going to get that effect. It's just going to look weird. So if you're not very familiar with that, I understand why they said that. However, there's ways of doing it, tying it in a very subtle but very loud way. And I mean subtle and loud because you can see it, you appreciate it, but you're not doing too much of it as well. So let me show you an example here. So here I'm going to show you an example of how I've kind of mixed various elements or different design styles together in this room, because my style is transitional. And if that's your kind of thing, transitional is definitely for you, and also eclectic as well. But I'll talk about all of the different design styles in another video. I have got another one actually, so go and watch that one, but I will do an updated one very soon. But yeah, so here you can see I've got some rattan and a bit of black. And rattan is really closely associated with kind of like rustic, modern, organic kind of theme. It doesn't have that kind of organic rough touch to it. It is quite smooth, and that's what's allowed it to kind of really complement this space and not look really out of place. And what I have done is kind of joined it together with this walnut table. So you're getting this type of theme here with kind of organic touches. But then if you can see in my dining room chair, this type of style is quite contemporary, modern contemporary, I would say, as you can see in some of these details here. Yeah, so this is how you can mix various design styles together, without it looking very messy. Now, I've done a mess over here with the styling because we don't want to see this. This is a rule that needs to be broken about putting things in a line. Always group your items together and always use the rule of 3, 5, and 7. That rule I want you to keep with, because not doing that, it's gonna look a mess. See, I've broken the rule here and it doesn't look good. But yeah, and over here on my TV unit, you can see that I have this geometric design, which is very closely related to art decor design. But I've still kind of incorporated this space. So this is what I mean by adding in little elements, little details that resonate with that particular design style without going too much with it. So just bring it in about 20% of your design, and then allow the rest of the percentages to kind of balance with other dominant styles, whatever you want to kind of bring more emphasis to, if that makes sense. Another rule that needs to be broken is about using your TV media wall as your focal point of your room. Now, whenever you're designing rooms, you always think, okay, sofas there, statement chairs on both sides, TV, media wall. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, why does it have to be that our space is confined for us to just be focusing on the TV? Like, I know it's an entertainment area, but you can also draw your attention somewhere else. Now, there's a lot of spaces like at the moment, and I think it's becoming quite popular for people not to be having TVs in their living room, and they have, if you do have that luxury of having another room to have a TV media or cinema area, then you can do that. But if you don't, you could actually conceal your TV. You can hide it, and I'll show you some examples, so that you're kind of having the room as a multifunctional area. So it's an area where you can kind of relax with your guests and have intimate conversations, and not allowing the TV to be the main theme of the room. And then when you do want to open it as a media center, you can open it up, and then you can have that. And I think that really does help to elevate it, because TVs are ugly, and I've said it before. That is why I try to do something with mine. And at some point, I will find a way to conceal it. And when it's on, I kind of put some artwork on there, so it looks like it's art on the wall and not a square black box, because ugh, disgusting. Try and use other spaces in your room. Maybe have like large art pieces or scones, or details on your wall that you want to drive your viewers or yourself, your attention to. You want to drive your eyes to that space and bring more interest there rather than focusing on this area. So this rule needs to be broken. Another common concept that people always say is about your furniture's matching. Now, let's do the opposite. Don't allow your furnitures to match. Like, it's really outdated. It's not very nice to look at. Like, visually, there's not much interest, and it doesn't bring style and elevation to the space. Like, you look at these really lovely homes, these opulent luxury spaces, they don't do that. And it's not because they don't have enough money, because that's not even an option. It's not because they can't get it in the other various sizes. It's just because they just want to show different types of designs and designers in the room, and it just allows it to be quite collective. It feels like, you're gathering collection pieces of very high end furnitures and designers rather than using the same designer for everything. It's just quite boring. So even if you don't want to bring other colors into your space, you can have different shapes and forms within your furniture pieces, like what you can see behind me. So my sofa is modular, and then my statement chair is curved. So it's bringing that kind of dynamics of difference in there without doing too much. If you're scared of color, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of color, but it just happened to work out this way, because I was kindly gifted that statement chair actually from Rocket St George's, which I'm very, very happy about. And this sofa soon will be changed as well, so watch that space, and I might go for another color. But yeah, this is what you want to kind of incorporate in your room. Please, please, please do not match your furniture pieces. It's so boring, and it's tasteless, and there's no style to it. So that's one thing I want you to think about. Another rule you should break is about not leaving your walls bare. Now, I've spoken about in other videos about not leaving your walls bare because it looks very cheap, it looks like it's unfinished, and there is some truth in that. However, in some aspects, you should leave it bare, because what it does is that it also creates some negative spaces. So when you do have some walls that has been beautifully allowed to have some beautiful artwork on that wall, you kind of remember about large artwork as well. So you've got a large artwork piece on that wall and other spaces are empty. That negative balance allows you to draw your attention into the focal point that you're trying to create. Whereas if you've got so many things on so many different aspects of the wall, your eyes don't know where to get, and it looks quite visually messy. So allowing there to be on your walls to kind of breathe and not having so much on there, and that includes, not having so many various types of like artwork, like a gallery wall. It just looks very top heavy, and as I said, looks visually messy as well. So having some spaces that are bare, but then you're being intentional about how you are dressing your other walls is very important. So yeah, break those rules a little bit, but do it with intentions and do it quite carefully as well. Another rule I want you to break is going into bathrooms. Now, we often talk about when you're tiling your bathroom, try and go with one type of tile because it gives that seamless look as well, and it allows the space to look bigger. Does that sound familiar? Because I've said this before. There is some truth in that as well. However, sometimes if you do want to elevate your space, especially if you've got a smaller bathroom, have fun with it. Like, it doesn't mean because you're confined to that space that you have to kind of allow there to be boring with it. Like, you can have some fun. So for example, you can have like a porcelain kind of shiny surface tile on your walls and then have a matte finish to your floor, or vice versa. And you're bringing in that contrast in there to bring some beautiful balance in there, and that allows it to look quite interesting and elevated. You can also even maybe have some vertical tiles in your shower, and if you do have a larger space room, maybe mix and match in your tiling with your surface, your counter surface, with your vanity, and where your wall and mirror is, because just doing that, as I'll show you some pictures, it just looks so different. Having like really nice intricate designs in there as well makes it very interesting to look at, and it does look elevated because, let's face it, the craftsmanship is a lot and the workmanship is expensive, so it means that expense has been put into it, which means it allows it to look expensive as well. Caveat, not all the time, but in this case what we're talking about, it does, trust me. Oh, okay, I'm gonna sit down now. So another thing is about symmetry and balance. Now, to allow the room to kind of give that kind of cohesive feel, of course, you do have to put some symmetry in there. However, I want you to break this rule in terms of symmetry, mix and matching. Sorry, in terms of symmetry, copy and paste, because that does look boring. And that doesn't really allow too much elevation. In fact, if you look at these pictures, you just see it looks quite bland, and you know what's going in there. Like, your mind is not being tricked to what's happening. Now, I want you to bring in some asymmetry, have fun with it, and doing so, be careful with it as well. Because I always like to give a caveat. I don't want to just give advice and you just go with it and it turns into a disaster. You still need to bring some visual balance. So I'm not saying on one side have it quite heavy with like shelving, if we're talking about in the living room, shelving on one side and then the other side is completely empty. No, put two things that are worth the same value on both sides, but let there be difference and contrast in them, and have fun with that. Same thing goes with your furniture pieces as well. Like if you have like a sofa on one side, put two different colored architectural artistic kind of looking statement chairs on the other side. Like this is how you're bringing this kind of asymmetry, and they're not very balanced. Perhaps you have a lamp on one side, bring a tree on the other side. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's creating that kind of asymmetry, tricking your mind so that as you walk in, you're not allowing it to think what it has to think. And that's what makes it look so interesting. It looks so, so stylish. And this is what takes your room from 0 to 100. And I definitely think like if you do this, you are in for the win. Trust me. This rule is about when people say go big with the items, because yeah, when you have something big, it obviously resonates with something that's expensive, and it just looks so much better because it fills the space and it draws your eye to it. However, please be careful of that, because if you do have a small space, having things in there that are of larger sizes can become a little bit overwhelming, and you have to have a little bit of a balance and kind of be a little bit sacrificed in a sense with other items. So if you have a really big sofa, everything else, try and reduce the size in that as well, because you want your eye to be drawn to that sofa. That is the focal point of the room. Otherwise, if you have a large sofa, a large artwork, a large tree, do you get what I mean? Is doing too much. So try and have like a really good ratio with that. So perhaps I would say maybe the large pieces maybe 30%, and then your medium size maybe be about 40%. This is testing my maths right now. It's 70 now. Okay, and 30 will just be other items that are slightly a little bit smaller, just to complement the space. Yeah, whether those percentages work with you or not, I don't know, but this is what I mean. Just kind of reduce the amount of large pieces that you have in your room so it doesn't become overbearing. You also want to have a really good flow of space in there so that it does feel quite empty in a sense, and that allows it to look bigger as well. If you do have a small space, that free flowing space will really bring that kind of nice balance in there, and you can only achieve that if there is enough leg room in there. And if you've got big pieces of furniture in there, then obviously you can't do that. So this is what I mean about being careful with your large pieces. So yeah, take that statement quite loosely. I always say, like, especially if you're decorating your room, have a nice neutral base. Especially if you are thinking of using that your space, your home as like for renting or for commercial, then obviously yeah, you want to do it so that it kind of acquires most people's taste and people can kind of add to their own. But if this is your home, why are you going for neutral base? Like, you don't have to. In fact, I've spoken about it of it's like white is boring. Like stop painting your walls white. Go for a nice warm white to bring some warmth into it and balance it with other colors in the room as well. Like if you want to have your all your walls black, do that. And having those injections of colors in there really does help to elevate it. As I said, just makes it look a little bit different from the rest and less boring. So yeah, I know the saying is keep a neutral base. I get that, especially if you're indecisive about what direction you want to go in, then at least you've got that, and then from there you can build in it. But we're having fun here. Like decor is fun, it's art. So if you're changing your season and you want to change your color, then do so. Obviously don't do the same thing when you're buying expensive furniture pieces, but I'm talking about your base colors here. And you can literally, there's a wide spectrum when it comes to neutral colors. It doesn't have to just be white. There's beige, there's black, there's blue, there's gray. There's so many different types, so you've got a vast amount to choose from if you want to have a neutral base, rather than just going straight into the white or leaving it white because that's what you came into the space and it was white. Doesn't mean you have to go with it. So yeah, that is a rule that should be broken. So comment below and tell me which rules you're going to break, or let me know if there's some that you see that maybe the community should break. Share below in the comments, and I'll see you in another video. Make sure you subscribe and also follow me on Instagram as well. Bye my darlings.